Yeah, so should we start with Jallikattu
Totally,
then? Yeah.
totally.
So Jallikattu,
Oh man, this movie's awesome.
Yeah,
this
you
movie
guys-
is unhinged.
Yeah, yeah. So Jallikattu, we mentioned. So you found out what the title means, right?
Yeah, it just refers to a practice in this area of India of basically just getting on a bull and trying to ride it and not get thrown off.
Okay,
You know, this
okay.
is a time-tested, universal thing. Young men
Right.
across the world trying to get on bulls and not get thrown off.
Yes. Okay. So Jallikattu, like I mentioned, this bull escapes and
A butcher.
Yeah, a butcher's bull escapes, and it shows you and the big picture is, you know, this bull escapes, it wreaks havoc, and it sort of the movie begins with a quote from the book of Revelation. In this case, it also ends with a quote. I can't remember what the ending quote was.
I think it was another quote from Revelation,
yes, it was,
but I can't. I can't remember.
But the beginning quote is the bit about Satan being chained up by an angel, but then eventually he is let loose to wreak havoc for a period of time before being restrained again.
Yeah.
And so that's clearly like the connection with the bull. You know, the bull escapes and it's wreaking havoc, but it's not only just wreaking physical havoc, but it is bringing out the worst in everybody. Basically, the people themselves who are chasing this bull and trying to catch it and kill it are themselves led into this sort of animalistic frenzy by the end of the film, and it's bringing out rivalries and old grudges and, you know, envy and people trying to be the one who gets the bull.
Yeah.
And so it's very much like this Satan rampaging, you know,
Right.
through the world for a period of time. So the film begins with this montage that you mentioned. It's very stylized. These very short cuts, very rhythmic. There's a sound of a clock ticking. At first people are asleep. There's this rhythmic breathing, this rhythmic waking up, and it takes you through several like day cycles in this village to sort of give you a sense of what the normal cycle of like in this village
and
is.
there's a lot of
like.
information conveyed.
There's
in a very
information
short
about
amount of
different
time.
characters, you know, different people's vices and virtues, lust, anger, and the food economy of the town. And there's also a similar opening montage in Angamali Diaries, which shows this city and shows the cycle, and the food economy there is sort of central to the story as well. But in this case, the food economy, you know, these are not your vegetarian Indians; these are Catholic Indians who eat meat, apparently. And so,
God bless them.
So where part of the rhythm is this bull being slaughtered every morning, and then the meat being sold in the market, right? And everybody's coming to get the meat every week,
Yeah.
or I guess every week, yeah.
Sure.
So and then one of them escapes,
Right, and
then,
so that montage is basically the ticking time bomb
Right,
of when
right.
this bull is
right,
gonna.
right. And from that point on, it's still a fast-paced movie, but you also get a lot more sort of long shots and,
Yes.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's a pretty long opening sequence. It's like, you know,
Sure.
11 or 12 minutes, I think.
Sure.
Several minutes anyway. So we start out there, and yeah, from there, and what do you want to say? What do you want to say? Yeah.
Well, you know, I want to say that clearly, it's clear that the director wants us to think about this in terms of, you know, the devil and vice and all that.
Right.
But it was after watching this film, it was like the very next day I went on a little mini day retreat, and the priest preached a homily where he referenced a story by Flannery O'Connor that also features principally a bull. And I think it's called Greenleaf. But in this, the bull, I think, is meant to be a symbol of divine power and love. And so that got me thinking that this bull symbolically, you know, can just as easily stand in for God's omnipotence, you know, and inability to be controlled, as much as, you know, the sort of the darker parts of nature, you know. But we, of course, we know that at the end of the day, like, all power in nature is from God, and it all does his will.
Right.
So as much as these people are contending with a bull that symbolically is sort of set up to represent the devil, it's also a grappling with just
we think about Moby Dick,
right.
Right. So in Moby Dick, which I just read for the first time this year, Captain Ahab, in some way, there's some likening of this whale with God. Like in striking at this whale, he's trying to strike at like the laws of nature, whatever's behind this whale, And so, you could look at it that way. Again, it's compared to the devil in the epigram, but yeah, no, that's an interesting point, because there's this like sort of, especially as the chase becomes more, they keep getting thwarted in their chase, but they become all the more frenzy driven, like Captain Ahab to at any cost to catch this bull.
And there's at least one or two moments in the film where they actually have the opportunity to finish this bull,
right?
But it's drawn out because of their hubris,
right?
Because they want to. Totally. And one character in particular, who's the butcher's sort of apprentice, he kind of sees this as his opportunity to
prove himself.
Yes. So there's a rivalry with another butcher apprentice. There's a sort of unrequited love with a neighbor's daughter, and then there's also proving himself to the butcher and to the community. And so for him, this becomes personal. It's fertile territory to contemplate what this bull may represent.
The opening montage also has some other nature images. If you remember, there's like weird little glowworms crawling around in the woods and stuff, and there's references to the role of the beasts in this forest, with another character
and
talking.
The film actually ends with a little epilogue of these cavemen over a dead bull, just losing their minds, that they've killed this bull, but also getting into conflict over like, well, whose bull is this now?
Right.
So it's clear that the director does want to strike at something that's fundamental, something very primitive about us and our relationship to nature.
Right.
And when you talk about that, you can't escape there being a kind of spiritual commentary or undertone to that,
Yeah.
I just so appreciate it when a director doesn't feel constrained by the limits of an adopted naturalism or realism in their film. Like this film is definitely, I would say, on the whole, a naturalistic, stylistically film. Everything is very believable, and all the responses are very believable, and everything is clearly rooted in a reality, and a psychological reality with all of these characters. But that ending sequence, it's the director really flexing his craft, his creative muscles, to basically say, I'm not inhibited by this. I can have a Tower of Babel made of writhing, angry male bodies if I want to, and it really takes something to pull that off, and
Totally.
and he does here. So